Hello and welcome back to the Artisfy Codecast. So today we're going to be focusing on the switch.js library, which we completed a couple videos ago. I think it was just yesterday. And we're going to be just writing a bunch of visual tests for it to make sure it works how we expect, to make sure the code is able to switch on the switches when appropriate, stop the switches when it should, toggle them again when it should. So here you can see I've outlined some to-dos based on our planned tests. We wrote 2 sidebar tests the other day. Then we wrote a single dialog test, so we're going to finish up this. Then we're going to do a dropdown test, and then a more details test, and then we'll take it from there. So the first thing is let's look at the tests we have so far. We have this sidebar that auto-closes when you click elsewhere, this sidebar that doesn't auto-close and has to be manually closed, this dialog that auto-closes if you click the backdrop, and now we're going to make a dialog that that doesn't auto-close when you click the backdrop. So all we should need to do is remove this backdrop off on the backdrop element and refresh the page. And now, so that didn't work, and we're triggering both at the same time. So the reason for that is that this has the same name as this, and that's not normally a problem. So normally we would be able to use the same backdrop on a single page, but in this example, we have multiple instances. We have multiple elements with the backdrop class, and that's because we're simulating multiple pages on a single page. So normally this wouldn't be a problem. Normally we wouldn't have to name this one backdrop 1 and this one backdrop 2, but in this case we do need to. But we can short circuit this a little bit by using our custom class, and this is the whole point of this, or sorry, not custom class, but it's custom switch name. So this is the whole point of this custom switch name, is that, sorry, I only need to put it on the switch element, is that whenever backdrop 1 is turned on, it's also going to get this custom name as one of the switches that is activated, and then whenever backdrop 2 is turned on, it's going to also get this. But they're not going to loop over. So this backdrop 1 acts as a namespace, right, for this backdrop, and then this acts as a namespace for this, and then we just get this like nice naming convention, so that when we go into the CSS, all we have to do is use backdrop for the data switched on attribute. We don't have to do like backdrop 1 and then comma backdrop 2, even though we could. That would be perfectly fine. I think this is just a tiny bit nicer to give it that custom name so that they can share some things and differ in other things. Okay, so let's see how this works. So now we click this. We're still activating both dialogues, and the reason for that is because I didn't rename this one, so that should be dialog 2. Okay, so now we're just activating this one. If I click on the background, it is closing the dialog 2, and that's because I have this here. So I think I just want to delete this, and let's refresh. So now, oh geez. Oh, that's because the dialog has auto off. So let's switch this to no auto. Now when I click on the backdrop, it's not going to close. In order to close this dialog, you have to click on the close button. It has to be manual. There's no other way to close this. So this is a really good example. So actually, in this example, you probably wouldn't have the close button, because this is an example of a dialog where you would want to force the user to click a choice. So you're forcing them to say either yes or no, and those are the only choices that are going to let them get to the next step. So it's kind of like maybe during the onboarding for your product, do you want the free plan or do you want the premium plan? And there's no way to just close out of that dialog because, what would you do in that situation? You wouldn't, you wouldn't know what to do. You wouldn't, I guess you could default them to the free plan. And actually, that wouldn't be a bad idea. But we're going to leave this close button in here just because we can pretend it's an OK button, right? And that it's located down here where an OK button would be. And yeah, so we're just going to leave that there. Because, we're writing tests. We're not writing an interface right now. So, so now we've got these two dialog tests. Now let's do a drop-down test. And you might be wondering, well, why are we doing a drop-down? We already did this sidebar test. We already did this, dialog test. Why even do the drop-down? Well, it is very similar to like a sidebar, right? You click it, it pops out. You click elsewhere, it closes. You click into it, it closes, right? But it's such a common use case for like a UI element that you're going to want something like a menu where you can click an element to get a selection of elements and click that. That we would just want to make sure that it feels right, it feels natural, and that we're doing the right thing here by using switch.js to create it. And if something feels a little off, we can adjust it, right? And I also want to maybe add a new feature to switch.js. So what I was thinking about what this could be used for, which is something that's very, very, very common, is showing an alert or like a, I forget what these are called. I think it's like Sweet Alert is one library that does this. So like Sweet Alert to beautiful, responsive, customizable, accessible replacement from JavaScript's pop-up messages. No, that's not the one I wanted. No, I don't want a pop-up. Sorry, I don't want a pop-up message. I want like a user message. So like I want a JavaScript plugin for messages or notifications. For notifications, notify.js. Do they have a test? I don't even like the look of that thing. Okay, yeah, so this is exactly what I'm looking for. So let's look at some more of these real quick. A lot of them are terrible and ugly. But there are some really, really nice ones that, the simpler they are, when it's just a little box with a close button and it just shows the message, it's beautiful, but it's hard to find sometimes. I guess Sweet Alert might have it too. I think I remember Sweet Alert having something like that. So let's search for this one more time. Go in here. Examples. No. Nope. I don't know. So anyways, so some kind of like notification. I'm not necessarily going to do this. I don't necessarily think it's a great idea. But it wouldn't really take a lot of effort to have a widget that has just a timeout, right? So I guess it could be the last argument on the widget, or it could be the last argument on the action even, and it could just say, after this amount of time or after this amount of seconds, deactivate this widget. And it is a little bit of extra functionality, but it is something that I need, and I always don't like including a separate library that comes with its own styles and it comes with its own way of doing things. I think, if I could just show something very quickly, I'll just make it, fixed position in the bottom right, and I can just replace the contents and the style. I don't know. It's just a thought. I probably won't do it. So let's get to the drop-down menu. Okay, so next thing is the drop-down menu. I like having some spaces so I can scroll down to have the thing I'm working on be in the center of the screen. So we're going to do this, then we're going to have, let's just delete all this stuff because this code is going to be a lot different. So we'll have like drop-down menu. Get rid of this. And you can actually get rid of this too. Okay, so I think it's going to be set up like this, drop down selection, and then in here we can say like hello, or why don't we put like animals, dog, and then here we'll have like drop down choices, and in here we'll have a list of choices, so we'll have like dog as the first one, and then cat, and then bird, and then zebra, and then giraffe. I think that's how you spell giraffe. Okay. So now the menu. So I could also put like the selection outside of this choices area, but I think this is fine. Let's select these, copy them in here. So we want the choices to be hidden by default. I think we also probably want this to have position absolute. We're not building an interface right now, relative. And then we want this to have position absolute. So this isn't actually how I would build a dropdown. And I don't want to think about how I would actually build a dropdown right now. 24px line, 24px, and we'll have the background color be AAA, and we can have the hover color be 888. Top is going to be something like, we're going to make like 28px, so there's like a 4 pixel difference, and we're going to have like drop down menu and data switched on tilde equals drop down, and then we'll just have display block data switches drop down, and it's when I click on this, so data switch actions drop down toggle, And then if I click anywhere in here, sorry, we want to have drop down off. I don't know. That seemed kind of right. So let's look here. So I think first of all, let's add some margin maybe? Okay. And I think 24px is not enough here. So I'll just say like 40px and padding left and color white, and let's on the body have a font family as I don't know. It's a little hard to read. Yeah, so we're not, yeah, let's do that. Okay, so now when I click this, nothing is happening. Let's see what's happening. So it is getting the data switch on property for dropdown, and it's getting it on the dropdown menu. Oh, yep. So I'm just displaying the drop-down menu black, whereas I want these to be display black. Cool. So that works. And let's have a cursor, a pointer in here, and let's put this down like 42px at least, maybe it's 44, and let's have it have background color of like 888 and a color of white and padding of 8px and width of 100%, and we'll like have the div that's inside of the choices. So each choice will have a background color when it's hovered of say 666, and we're also going to give each of these a height of at least I guess 30px and like a margin bottom of 4px. It's not exactly what I want, but it's kind of good enough. Cursor, pointer, and I would much rather have these extend to the edge. So the padding top is fine, but the padding left is not. And then we'll have padding on these be like maybe like 4px, 8px, and we don't actually need the height on it. And let's give it more and more. Oh wait, we want this to be like 8, I think, so that it matches up with the parent. Okay, so that's decent. We can double this. Yeah, so that, I mean, that kind of feels like a drop-down menu now, right? So now if we click this, it toggles. If we click this, it's going to select. It kind of feels natural. If I click outside, it's going to close. And I guess I should probably have this off action on each of these choices, so that like if I click in between, like right there, it's not going to close because I didn't make a choice. So I could do that. But I think, oh yeah, so we have, it's going to auto off. So we want to say no auto. Except it really should. So instead, we're going to say like data switch stop here. And we're going to say dropdown. Okay. So now if I click in between, it's not going to close. If I click on it, it is going to close. If I click elsewhere, it's going to close. If I click over here, over it again, it's going to close. So that's kind of a cool, like very simple dropdown. In general, I would suggest that you not build dropdowns with this library. Like if it's actually, you know, a dropdown and not like a fancy styled menu. I think in general, you really want to use a native select element for your site, because that'll make it more accessible, not only, you know, to blind people, you know, or disabled people, but also just to normal people who navigate a website with their mouse. There's a lot of people who are very comfortable, with the keyboard. There are a lot of people who are very comfortable with the keyboard, you know, who work in offices or work with computers or are programmers. And, you know, when they're filling out a form, they're used to just being able to say tab, you know, type in the thing, tab, type in the thing, and they're very quick at it, and it gets them through it like that. And to have a custom drop-down menu that looks really pretty and really nice is actually not that great for them and for usability. That being said, I am guilty of using you know, fancy style drop-down menus. So, you know, do what you do. Okay, so we have that that test. Let's do our last test, which is the more details. So we'll copy this page, bring another one here. Let's delete all this stuff. And let's say like div class, and this can be like, I don't know, item. And then it's going to have a button inside of it, which is more details. And that's going to go there. And let's say like this is the like item summary area, and then this is the more detail section. So we'll just call it details. Okay. That looks good. We'll copy this into here. Okay, so time to style this. What did do I want to base this on the dialog, or I guess I could make it the same color. Oh, geez, I lost this. Oh, it's because the flexbox isn't wrapping. So we'll do flex, wrap, and wrap. Cool, so now these are going to maintain their same sizing, their like natural sizing, and then they'll just wrap as we go down. Okay, so for, yeah, I'll use the sidebar color, just to be consistent. Okay, so we'll have height of, so the total is 300, so we'll have like height of 120, and then this, sorry, that's here. And the detail section can be like a height of 200. So that would give us 320 total, so the item would take up the whole page. So let's cut off like 40 from both of these, or no, we can just make this 122. Okay, and then let's do margin 10px, because I think that's what we were using in general. The width can just be natural. Let's see what that looks like. So that gives us that position relative, because we want to position this one, absolutely. And then it's going to be in the, I want it to be in the bottom right, so let's say right 10px, bottom 10px, width, so the total width is going to be 320 minus 20, so 300 width. Which actually I don't really like. I want to give this more of a margin. Have like 80. Yep. So 40 px, 80 px on either side. That seems right, except I guess that height can be a little bit smaller. Okay, so then the width of the more details button, I don't know, I think 40 px is fine, and then the height, I guess we'll make all of our buttons just square, and since we made the other ones 30 px, let's make this one 30 px too, and we don't have a background color on this yet. And so since the item is AAA, to make this, we should make this a lot darker. So I think 888 might work. And we actually need the position relative to be on the summary. Well, the more details button should be in the summary. Okay, and we'll give this a hover style. 666, and cursor. Cursor pointer. Okay, so when it's turned on, it's going to get the data switched on equal to, we'll say details, and then we're going to have details display black, and by default it's going to be display none, and then it's going to have a background color the same as the summary, so AAA, and we need the data switches, and it's going to be details, and when you click on actions, it's going to be details toggle. And this is actually going to have a close button inside of it. It doesn't need to have one, but I like when it has one. So I'm just going to style this the same as the other ones, the other buttons. Should have just copied it all from there. Okay. And let's give it a little bit of room. So this would be positioned absolute, I believe. No, I'm not sure. No, it wouldn't be positioned absolute. So let's just give it a margin. This might be too far. Oh, and I deleted the position relative. Cool. So that's the more detailed section. And it has a little close button, which closes it, but not on purpose, because it's anywhere I click in there, that's going to close it. So with the details, I don't want it to turn off automatically. I want it to always stay open. Details, no auto. I feel like that should work. Okay, so that is working. So now only clicking on the toggle is going to affect it. And then the one other place I want it to affect is if I click the close button. So with the close button, we could just do this, but to be explicit, we'll just say off. Cool. So now we have a little dialog or a little item that, you know, there might be multiple on the page. So like, let's make this a little bit shorter. So we can make that 80. Sorry. So we're going to make so the item can have a margin top of 40px and a width of, like, I don't know, 180px. Let's see what that looks like. And we want the other sides to be auto and the bottom to be 0. And this to be like 80. And we're just trying to fit multiple in here. So this can get smaller, the width, maybe not that small. And then that looks pretty good. And then the height of the detail section, let's see what it looks like. Okay, so that's not bad, but we can bring it down to like maybe 90 or 100. 100 kind of looks like it's more details. Okay, so now let's put multiple in a row. We'll copy these. And so like details 1, details 1, details 1. No, let's not do that. So let's do details. And then let's say toggle. And let's use our ancestors. So this is the context that we created. So this allows all of the switches to be named the same. And these switches are only going to target their ancestors, so they're not going to target anything else, hopefully. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so that works. And let's make the margin top a little bit smaller so that we can kind of see it better, and we'll shorten everything so we can make this like, I don't know, it barely makes it bigger than the button, but that's fine. So height of 50, and the details can be like a height of 60. And why don't we make just to make it clear, we'll make the background color of the details a different, maybe just like a darker shade, so like 8, and then we can have the close button in there, be a little bit darker. Okay, so that's the more details section. We can actually remove that. Yeah, so now we have the more details there. We have the close button. Toggling each one individually doesn't do anything to the other ones. Clicking outside of it doesn't do anything. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And makes me think we could probably do the same thing with the dropdown, right? So ancestors, and if we copy this, so I think I'm going to run into a problem here. No, I guess it's fine. It works as expected. And yeah, and style. So it does interfere with each other. So this one appears over. I just want to see why that's happening. We're not really designing right now, so it doesn't matter that much. So the menu, the choices are appearing behind the menu, even though this is positioned, right, I don't know. Oh, so yeah, that's the problem. So I guess a z-index on this. I wish I knew a better way of doing that. But I think that works. Yeah, I really wish I didn't have to do that. Well, yeah, z-index isn't going to affect this one because it doesn't have a position on it. Yeah. If you have any ideas, I would love to hear them about how to not attach a z-index to this, but make these both work together. Because the problem with z-index is it's like a global variable, um, and so you know if you're building just a couple components on a page, that's fine. So it's fine when you're first starting out, but when you have a drop down and a modal and a dialog box and notifications, all of a sudden all of these are like competing with each other, and it's just great. Like as far as like modal boxes go and popovers go and notifications go, you do kind of have to decide which one is going to take precedence. Like you might have a really important notification, especially if it has to do with the modal that you want to go over the backdrop, right? So there are some cases, some arguments for that, but as far as like just regular components on the page like this, they shouldn't be interfering with each other and just kind of, you know, um, appearing on top of each other when they shouldn't be. So yeah, and you can kind of see with this one. I mean, this already kind of looks like a switch, right? You can kind of see how this could be a switch too, which is the name of the library, I guess. I didn't think about that. Okay, so now we have all of them except for notification. I'm not going to do that right now. This is a lot of extra work. I don't really need this right now. I would like to do it maybe next time, but for now I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I hope you enjoyed this codecast. We got through a lot today, so we added 1, 2, 3 tests. I guess we could do this one last one, which is just a toggle all. So we're just going to have like a div with a class of page, and we're going to have a div class toggle all button. And this is going to, you can just say like with 60px height, 60px. You can put it in the middle of the page, and I think you can do top right, bottom left. I think this does what we want. Oh, and we need to have a color. And the color, the default color is, I think, white. So. And we'll have this be it didn't do what I wanted it to do. Does the page have, yeah, it has relative. Oh, jeez. Absolute position CSS center. Maybe we need margin auto on it too? I don't know, this is kind of hacky. It's always felt a little hacky. Yeah, so that works. Let's see what else they say. So, width is known, position absolute, left 15 marginal. So I guess, yeah, we'll do it that way. So, we do like top and left, 50%. And so that pushes it half the page. So it's going to be in like the bottom right corner. And now we just need to shift it up. So how did we do that with the other I think we might have used transform. Nope, we use margin. Okay, so we'll use margin, and it's just going to be, the top is going to be minus 30, and the left is going to be minus 30. Okay, cool. So now we'll give it a cursor of pointer. And now let's make it toggle everything. Okay, so now it has data, switch, actions, and I guess we'll just go through all of these and select all of them, and probably a more efficient way of doing this, but let's select all this. Okay, and select all this. Okay, this repeats, we'll put the backdrops together, the dialogs together, the sidebars together, and then the drop down. Okay. And okay, we got to say what we're doing. So we say toggle. And the second argument for this, it's the action and the context, and we don't care about the context. Okay. So here, and then that, and then that, and then paste it in there. So now we're going to toggle everything. Okay, so now we've got everything. I click this. Oh no. What happened? Absolutely nothing happened. Oh, there we go. So those all toggled open, that toggled open, that toggled open, that toggled open. Okay, close everything. So this is still causing an issue, so this gets buried beneath that one now. That's a shame. I'm not going to worry about it because I'm not building a dialog box, so yeah. My switch library works. Cool. So now that we have a toggle for everything. Okay, cool. So that's all I'm going to do for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any feedback, please leave it in the comments. If you have better ways of, approaching this code, I would really appreciate, any advice or feedback, or, a testing library that you, recommend for testing these UI components. I'm really not all about like React and Vue.js and like all these modern frameworks. I really just kind of like working with the old style DOM, which is why I'm building these libraries. I still do build some stuff in React and Vue. I use Vue at work. I've used React for another project. So I'm interested in learning more about those. So even if you have an opinion about those, I'd be interested in hearing about it. But in the meantime, just keep me informed and keep learning. Okay. Thank you so much, and I'm signing out, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.